closer, and it is successful in achieving this in many ways. We are able to stay in contact with someone from virtually anywhere, no matter the distance between you and the other party. And we are able to share moments as they occur, through phone and video calls, as well as posting on social media. However, somewhere along the development of this incredible invention, we stopped asking what kind of closeness we were creating. Phones have been incredibly impactful on our society, and we have redesigned how we connect, think, and exist socially around them. Dr. Charles Cooley was a sociology professor at the University of Michigan, and he argued that technology is deeply embedded in our relationship with others, and that we should view technology as one aspect of human society. Now, society is a word that is used a lot, but what does it mean? Oxford Languages defines society as a group of individuals of the same species where there is some degree of cooperation, communication, and division of labor. One of the most prominent impacts is how phones have changed the most popular and preferred methods of communication throughout time. In the 1860s, before the telephone was invented, communication was mainly through letters, telegrams, and in-person meetings. Virtual communication was slow. Telegraphs took days to send, while mail took months. Information was spread through newspapers, and communities were smaller due to underdeveloped transportation. In the 1880s, when the telephone was invented, communication became almost instantaneous. Around 49,000 phones were installed in America, and cordless phones were developed a century later, allowing for the evolution of smartphones that we use today. Nowadays, main methods of communication are done solely on phones. Instantaneous communication, like texting, calling, and emailing, are more preferred than slower communications, like mail. Before smartphones, in the late 19th century, American social scientist Ithiel de Sola Poole recorded people's opinions on positive and negative impacts of the telephone, and he published his results in his 1983 book, Forecasting the Telephone. A few of the positives he included in his results included the advancement in language patterns, flexible work arrangements, as well as helping first aid responders and emergency workers. A few of the negative effects he included was a decline in the art of writing, invasions of privacy, as well as disruptions of traditional communication. Now, we have all heard that phones can be addicting, which is true. App manufacturers design their apps to be as engaging as possible, with push notifications and fast-paced content, feeding the rush of the neurotransmitter dopamine, which is associated with pleasure and reward. Constantly giving in to this neurotransmitter creates a stronger craving each time you are deprived of dopamine. Additionally, the increasing popularity of phones has begun to undermine and reverse long-term trends in societal development. Phones increase the presence of primary social bonds. This includes intimate relationships, family, and close friends. Just think about it. You can share your phone number to anyone of your choice, and you can choose who you want to interact with on a daily basis, which is a great way to stay in touch with friends and family. However, it makes it difficult to reach out to strangers. This line of thought can also be applied in social media. Many social media platforms work by using an algorithm that shows like-minded or similar people to us, making it difficult to confront ideologies that we disagree with or are not interested in, which can lead to adopting a close-minded approach towards different topics. These echo chambers reinforce beliefs and allow little room for challenging and debate. This form of human interaction closely resembles pre-modern human interaction, where people lived in one village and only interacted with those in that village, as they were unable to branch out and meet more people. We are reverting back to digital villages, where we only interact with people like us, thanks to the nature of sharing phone numbers as well as social media. Additionally, the daily use of phones in our lives is contributing to the depth of conversation. You're probably wondering, what makes communication and conversation so important? Face-to-face conversation is one of the most humanizing things we do. It is where we learn empathy through the intimacy of eye contact, perceiving others' presences, as well as hearing their vocal tones and reading their body language. 89% of Americans say that in their last conversation, they took out their phone in the middle of it, and 82% say that it collapsed their conversation. Imagine, or think back to a time where you were enjoying a conversation with someone, only for them to take out their phone. How would or how did that make you feel, knowing that you no longer have someone's total undivided attention when discussing something that you care about? Using a phone in a conversation decreases its quality as it is sending a message to the other person that you are not entertaining enough. Sending this message is harmful to our humanity as it is harmful to the social tendencies in our human nature. Human nature is the general psychological characteristics and behavioral traits of humankind. It is split into social and non-social tendencies. Love and empathy are social tendencies, and minimizing the amount of face-to-face interaction or interrupting conversations by using our phones is harmful to our empathy towards others, in turn harming our humanity. Although virtual communication is more popular and preferred in society, it cannot replace in-person conversations. Losing in-person communication is to lose one of the most humanizing things in the world. Right now, we're living through one of the biggest shifts in human history. This should not be a message to burn all phones, because they are incredibly useful. They are an incredibly useful tool in our daily lives. The challenge we face isn't whether we should use our phones or should not use our phones. It's how we use them. We have to start asking, are we shaping our tools, or are our tools shaping us?
Thank you, Christine. Here is your question.
Thank you for your presentation. How do you hope to shape your relationship with your phone going into university? Like, how do you want to use it for good, but also avoid the pitfalls?
Thank you for that question. I think using my phone is definitely going to be helpful staying in touch with my classmates right now. I'm definitely going to be using my phone to communicate with them, whether that be through a text message or through like a FaceTime. However, like I mentioned before, it's important to have a healthy balance between maintaining my online friendships versus my real in-person friendships. Because I aim to be making more connections and meeting new people in university, I think it's important for me to, and I work working on this, is that balancing my screen time versus how I'm interacting with people online, in person. I think that it's important to maintain the friendships that I have now, and I will be able to with my phone. However, I shouldn't be using my phone to replace me going out in university and meeting new people. I think that I need to find a healthy balance between, yes, I'm going to text my friends this day, and then maybe the next day I'll walk up to a random person and ask them how they're doing. I think finding that healthy balance, especially in university, is very important, and that can definitely help me later in my careers. Thank you.